When some sports fans think of Barcelona, what comes to mind is the Summer Olympics, which the city hosted in '92. But for race fans, Barcelona means one thing: the Circuit de Catalunya. And that's where we find ourselves today for the Global SimRacing Channel's Round 4 coverage of the Absolute Beginner League's Formula Neagle Season 19 Championship. Now, there is an old Spanish saying that goes, Cuando el gato está fuera, los ratones juegan, which means when the cat's away, the mice will play. In regards to Formula Neagle, los ratones, well, they are Greg Seitz, Neil Bamber, Alex Johnson, and David Burns, all who took turns playing champion the 4 seasons that were previous to this one. El Gato, none other than the Roland Estonian Aero Num, who won Formula Neagle crown 6 times before leaving the series. Well, they thought he was a goner, but the cat came back, and now with only 2 races remaining on the schedule, the Roland Estonian is well on the way to his 7th championship. Will none increase his point lead, or will the mice steal the Spanish cheese? Find out now as all the simulated Skippy action from green flag to victory donut streams your way, live as it happens here on GSRC. Hello and welcome to yet another Formula Neagle broadcast. Way up in the press box to bring you our bird's eye view. Rocky Stallone, joined by yours truly, Bill Soupzon. Streaming cyberspace into your place, our director Joe Peak, with cameras located, aimed, zoomed, and focused by Dougie Beard. Now, Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya is a recent addition to the iRacing service, so dish up the paella, pour the sangria, and enjoy as GSRC takes us to Spain for a closer look at today's racing venue.
Welcome to Circuit de Barcelona. The home of the Spanish Grand Prix for nearly 30 years, it's easy to forget that this is a relatively recently built track in Europe. It's known for its long, sweeping corners and hosts the highest level of open-wheel and motorcycle racing. Placing an emphasis on a good aerodynamic setup with high downforce cars, it's often overlooked that it offers plenty of overtaking for lower-tier racing as well. In fact, most don't take into account that this adaptable track has 5 different layouts to choose from. These range from the nearly 3-mile-long Grand Prix version to the minuscule 1-mile club circuit. Because of the pit straight being the longest acceleration zone, Elf is the most likely spot for drivers to get a pass done. After that, your next hope might be into La Caixa, which, depending on which layout you use, could be a sharpened set of 2 turns or one long hairpin with an opening radius. In the early 2000s, a chicane was added close to the end of the lap, but the old Europe car corner can still be run. The Spanish fans have some gorgeous views from the many hills dotted along the track. And with the international fame this place has built over time, it's no wonder they're almost always full come race day.
GSRC's sobriety policy prevents me from imbibing in this delicious-looking sangria provided by Track Hospitality, but there are no such restrictions on the paella, so I'm going to lay down the mic and pick up a fork while Rocky talks track stats.
Soup, thanks a lot. It's an exciting track to broadcast today. Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya, as a historic layout we're looking at today. Long straightaway, a lot of long, wide-out turns. These skippies, with the momentum that they're going to need, are going to have a lot of space to run these turns out wide. A lot of lead-out, long straightaway for that long backstretch and leading out of a lap and into the next one. A lot of time will be gained and lost there in that first turn. Excited to bring it to you today. Looking forward to working with you. Soup, welcome back.
Hey, thank you. As is usually the case, the historic courses usually have a little more flow to them than the Grand Prix, the modern Grand Prix courses. That's the case here today with the basically between maybe corner 13 and the final corner, which is New Holland. They've taken out a few chicanes, so it's a lot more flowing through the back half. Let these skippies really get into the draft, and should be exciting going down into that first corner. It's kind of a chicane. It reminds me a little bit of Monza down there with the Elf Renault chicane that happens through 1 and 2. Let's go ahead and take a look at the point standings, see how that plays out. We're going to look at the F1 driver standings now, as we talked about at the Roland Estonian. He's got almost too many championships to keep track of. Errol Num, of course, I'm talking about. He's got a 61-point lead over the man in second. That is Leo Miranda. Mike Garcia sits just a handful of points behind that. Now, there's a former champion, Bambi, we like to call him, sitting in fourth place. Neil Bamber, one of the mice that had fun while the cap was away. He sits down there in fourth, tied with Nico Winen-Roman, as they sit both 70 points out of the lead. But there is a second champion, the championship, the F2 championship. Rocky, what's going on there?
Well, the F2 championship is obviously for the lesser rated, under the 2300 mark for your iRacing rating. At first, we got Volchek Potacek. He is holding a narrow lead over Ludwig Sauer by the smallest of margins, which is 1 point. He rides in second place in the standings. Scott Malcolm, a little bit further behind, 21 points back in third place. We got Christopher Giros, who's actually having his lucky 13th start today. He sits 10th overall in the full standings. And rounding out these standings at the top 5, we have Paulo Prito. He's 44 points back and looking to make up some ground today. Soup.
Qualifying going on right now. I'd like to put the camera to start with on car number 96. Alex Jonsson, he is one of the other champions that he picked up that crown while Arrow was on his hiatus. Take a look at him right now. He's yet to put in a qualifying time. Unlike many of the other drivers that picked up championships, this guy is a legitimate threat. In fact, when you think about Alex Jonsson and Errol Num being here together, it's almost as if we're looking at, I don't know, whether that's James Bond and Jason Bourne back together. This will be exciting. He is a legitimate threat to be as fast as the Roland Estonia as we wait for all the drivers to put in qualifying times right now.
Yeah, Soup, it's hard for me to bet against this guy, though. The last time I watched these guys take the track, it was at Watkins Glen, and Nam had an exciting victory. There were 3 drivers ahead of him who had a very large moment in the second to last turn. And who is there? Of course, our buddy. He goes, sneaks through like nothing, wins it. So it's hard for me to say anything, but we'll see. We'll see what happens today.
One of the new unique features of Formula Neagle is what my dad used to call a dry cleaner's dream when it comes to qualifying. And that is open qualifying, and mainly because there's a lot of drivers holding on to coattails here. If you can get yourself in the tow behind Jonsson or Errol Num, you can find yourself well up the standings. And that's one of the beauties. They like to emphasize the team aspect of racing here in Formula Neagle. And there you're looking at the driver. Nobody following him right now as he is all by himself. Let's go ahead and take a look at the race details so you get a better idea what's going on. Rocky?
Yeah, I'll take a look at these real quick. This is the 19th season of the Absolute Beginners League. Nice to see these guys together. It's hard to get 20 guys to race once, let alone for 19 seasons worth. This is round 4 of 5. There will be one more race to finalize this season. We will be running for 40 minutes. We are running open setups on 51% fuel, and we have an incident cap at 17. If anybody hits that, then there will be penalties to pay. Soup?
Another new rule this season I found out about is, for the first time that I can ever remember in the history of Formula Neagle, we've got ourselves a fast repair. Now that's kind of interesting. If you can time your car injury at the right time in the pit window, that'll come in kind of handy. But one of the aspects that I've noticed about it from watching the all season long is that what that fast repair does, Rocky, is it really brings lap traffic into the mix more than it ever did, because before, without the fast repair, basically the only time you saw lap traffic is when you made it all the way around. But now with drivers going in, getting a fresh car, it clutters up the track a bit.
Yeah, and being a lapped car, very often in my exploits in iRacing, it can be difficult. It's very difficult when you're trying to look ahead of you and you're trying to make something out of the race, but then you got the guys coming behind you, and you don't want to get in their way, but you don't want to give up too much time. But yeah, the fast repair will make these guys come into play a little bit more than they have in the past. I like it. I think it gives everybody a little bit more of a shot. Yeah, you might not be fighting for the win, but at least you get to put in some laps. So we'll see how it affects it and see how it goes going forward.
Barcelona, of course, a major tourist attraction. If you're on vacation, on a cruise, you always want to stop in Barcelona. Let's take a look and see what the weather is here in Spain today. Rocky, what do you think?
Okay, well, as I take a look at the weather, we got mostly cloudy conditions, 75-degree temperature, track temp at 90 degrees, slight wind out of the northeast at 8 miles per hour. Looking at 40% humidity, not too sticky. Sounds like a nice day in Simland. Almost kind of what we have here in Florida, but we'll take it. We'll take it.
You can see the tower on your left there. Alex Janssen sitting at the top. No surprise, Errol Num, those two guys right next to each other. Now, really, qualifying doesn't tell us a lot because I talked about the coattail aspect of it. Nico winning Roman sitting in third. Nick Carty, I've seen Nick race before. That's a probably legitimate spot for him. He's certainly a top 10 qualifier, as is Christopher Gyros.
Gyros? I thought we decided on Gyros.
We're going with Gyros, aren't we?
Okay.
Welcome to commentating with me, man.
Apologize, Chris. We're going with Gyros. So if he said it right, I apologize. Take it up with GSRC.
Let's go ahead and put the camera on number 57, Edgar Sanchinelli. You know, in Formula One, Joe might be able to help me on this one a little bit more, our director, because he's a Formula One fan. I believe there was a driver, Andre Cesare, I think was his name. He went Cesaris, that's what it was. Thank you, Joe. Went 208 races without ever picking up a win. I believe he owns the record currently in Formula One, most races without a win. Edgar Sanchinelli kind of in the similar situation. We love Edgar Sanchinelli here at GSRC. He is a fan favorite, but I'll just give you the stats. 63 career starts. This will be his 64th career Formula Neagle start. Still looking for his first, not win, his first top 5. We're pulling for you today, Edgar. You're sitting in 9th position now.
Oh, definitely another Team Edgar fan in this seat. I did not know of those stats, but how can you not root for a guy who's persevering like that? Let's go, Edgar. Let's get up there today.
Yeah, Edgar probably not happy that I'm out of retirement to call this one and bring that one up. He probably prefer me not to do it. Let's look up one position, car number 44. This is the Strudelmeister, Thomas Kick. He was in what I saw a spot up there. He just got moved down a little bit as the time starts to come in. He's another veteran as drivers start to fill in ahead of him. 20 drivers putting in qualifying times. We're still waiting for 4 who have yet to finish out. Philip Anderson, Lewis Morga, Martin Kappel, and Neil Armstrong still waiting to get a climb in. As I say that, I see Neil got his spot. I know Neil's a fan of yours. Car number 64.
That's my sentimental favorite. I'm a fan of the Moon. I'm a fan of Neil Armstrong.
You know, if you are Mrs. and Mrs. Armstrong, you got to figure that you scratch Neil, Louis, and Jack out of the baby book name, the baby name book, don't you think?
Right.
But
and cousin Stretch.
and Stretch, thank you. There's the 4th one. Neil sitting, having a good race, down in the points so far, but fun to watch. But I was wrong. Yet to put in a time, so he sits back there. 21 drivers have put in a time. Peter Reed, the slowest of all the drivers who've put in a qualifying time. There's the number 64 coming right at you. Okay, Neil does get in a time, and he's down at the bottom down there.
I don't know if he was really pushing on that lap. I think he was just looking to break up some of the banter about his name, give us something else to talk about.
This will be fun. The nice warm temperature here, that'll help a little bit with cold tires on the first lap. Again, we're going to look at a lot of excitement going into 1 and 2. It's a right-hander and then a left-hander.
Ooh.
Oh, that was fun. We're looking at the one in Roman there as he put it in the wall. Nico, that's all right. Nico's sitting 5th within drafting distance. What if you've seen a Formula Neagle, what you're going to see early on is a long train, and the question is, can you hang on to the lead parade?
Yeah, Watkins Glen, when we were following these guys, it was a lot of drafting. You try to get out, and you just can't do it. These cars, they just don't make that power that you need to finish that overtake.
Nico Roman came across the mic and announced to everybody that he'll be gone for just a second. He needs to have a little medical checkup, make sure he's okay after that crash. It's just simulated racing, Nico. You're fine. All right, that's the end of qualifying. We got a standing start in a pretty big field. So to make sure that Rocco and I get our GSRC's commentator's bonus for getting through the entire field before we go green, let's go to the grid right now.
All right, I'll take the top one. I'm sorry, go ahead. My fault. I thought you were looking for me to talk. I'll leave it to the expert.
No. Tell you what, let's go. I'll take the top 10 here. We got Alex Johnson and Aaron Num. We figured them to be up top. Veteran Michael Hofladezen sitting inside of row 2, flanked by Ludwig Sauer. Nico Roman and Christopher Giros go 5th and 6th. The next row is populated by Nick Carty and Pablo Santista. We talked about Edgar Sanginelli. He sits in 9th, just inside of Christopher Crook.
All right, 11th spot we got taken by Philip Anderson. Alongside of him is Josh Brain. Matt Tempest and Thomas Kick are in row 7, 13th and 14th respectively. Troy Banks, Kevin Walsh, 15th and 16th. Andrew Saunders, Bradley Halls, 17th, 18th place for row 9. And Luis Rodriguez Lujan, Luke Downs are 19th and 20th, finishing out the 10th row.
Hidden Blackjack, the aforementioned Neil Armstrong inside of Peter Reed in the double duck spot. Then we have 3 drivers that did not put in time. Hopefully they'll grid up. Luis Morga, Martin Koppel, and Sindel McMurphy. 25 names on the entry list. 22 were able to put in qualifying times. Round number 4, season 19 of the Formula Renault, brought to you by the Absolute Beginner League. This is the penultimate round. One more to go, and I think unless Errol Num is kidnapped by crazed Martians, I think the championship is going to be him, and I believe it is number 7.
Well, 7 time. We heard that before.
and not done. Okay, they go to the grid. Again, a standing start, and hopefully everyone will be safe through 1 and 2. Before the field starts to stretch out. All going to be about drafting here, as I don't think these underpowered skippies, anybody's going to be able to pull away from anybody else. The one thing you want to watch out for is a mistake in the lead train can sometimes break it up, and they want to hang on to the back of Janssen and Num, who we expect to be the 2 drivers to beat here today. But, of course, with the underpowered skippy, anybody has a chance to win.
Yeah, when I drive the skippy, I always find myself wanting just a little bit more. But these guys are masters. Again, just watching them already run a race, the precision that they show for 40 minutes, and this little underpowered car, it's something that I'm jealous of. I don't possess those skills. I can tell you that right now.
There's a lot of respect among these drivers. Most of them have raced together a lot. That's one of the beauties of private league racing. You get to know the guys you're up against. Not so much the case, though, from Janssen and Num, who know each other only by reputation. I believe they have only raced against each other once or twice. So this is the fans, the longtime followers of Formula Neagle love this matchup. Again, I equated it to James Bond and Jason Bourne. We'll see who is the best, the newcomer and the oldcomer. Still waiting for Arrow to take his spot at the front. Start to worry a little bit about the connection in Estonia. Oh, I'm sorry. I assumed it was a Num. It was indeed the pole sitter, Alex Janssen. You can hear those little skippy engines start to harmonize. You know what to do. Gather up the chickens. Take cover behind the cows. The horses are out of the barn. And it is Alex Janssen leading the stampede down into the first corner. Now let's see if they safely get through. Janssen takes his half out of the middle. Num looking to the outside. Peeking in there. Here he comes. This guy is Mr. Excitement, Hofladezen. He loves to race hard early on. He's got 1. Now he's on the outside, though, through Renault. But he's able to at least secure second position. Boy, he gets right onto the gearbox of Janssen. Almost catches him. He slots into second. The back half of your top 5, Sauer and Nico Roman.
Neil Armstrong caught a piece of something in the back. He's slow behind the field. He's got some front-end damage. I saw that in the first turn. I don't know exactly what happened, but he's not looking good. Up front.
If you know anything about this series and you have been watching Mikel Hofladezen, you know that he takes no prisoners. It is lap number 1. It might as well be the final lap in the mind of Michael. He is racing very hard. He's opened up about a 3-car length lead on Errol Num into 3rd position. Ludwig Sauer tucked behind him with Giros.
Oh, Janssen's around.
Janssen has spun it.
We got spinners behind him, too.
Come back and take a look at that. Now, right behind him was Mikel Hofledesen, but Mikel had nothing to do with that one. That was driver error. And all of a sudden, Jason Bourne is out of the mix, and James Bond has it all to himself. We'll come back and take a look at that one a little bit later.
Yeah, I'm looking at his car right now, and I don't see anything that stands out, but it looks like he's struggling. And obviously, losing the main pack there, that's going to hurt.
All right, coming out of New Holland, the final corner is Michael Hofledesen. He's going to get credit with leading this lap, but a great run from Aero Num if he wants it. The Roland Estonian moves to the inside. We're going to have a new leader going down into the Elf Renault chicane. And sure enough, it is Aero Num. Those two drivers start to open up a little bit. Garros and Sauer are going to have to catch up. But again, that's an effect of what happened up front when Janssen got loose.
And now again, a case of the right place, right time. Setting up that excellent pass, going up that front stretch. Completed it. Hopefully keeps us up front. I'm wondering if he's thinking of looking back at all.
Let's go back to 6th place. We set this up in the pre-race show. We talked about Edgar Sancinelli looking for his first top 5. Edgar sits one spot out of achieving that goal right now in 6th. He is in a great battle with Philip Anderson right behind him, Nick Carty, and then Pablo Santista back there. Now the battle for 6th. In fact, look at this. Sancinelli is now under attack, but he fights off Anderson. Good racing going on. Oh, no! Hang on, Edgar!
He was close. I was reading more of the side of that car than I was the front.
All right, he does lose one position, but still is in the hunt. Who is in that 5th spot was Nico Roman. He's in a 3-car train for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th with Garros, Sauer, and Roman. Yeah, that's a good shot. Look at him coming at you. I love that shot. Nice done, director. That's some of Dougie Beer's work right there. You really get an impression. Look at that gaggle of cars. I did do a little dictionary work and I checked it out. That is the group name for skippies. It is a gaggle. A school of skippies.
So I will just push the knowledge out of my head that actually referred to geese, and now I will correctly visualize race cars whenever I hear gaggle. We got action up front.
Yeah, we do indeed. As they continue to, kind of dance for a position up here. Num and Hofledesen. These guys do know each other. And in fact, Aero Num, again, we love Michael Hofledesen, so I apologize, but he does come with a reputation, and Aero Num is well aware of it. He's going to make sure he gives Hofledesen all the room that he needs. It is 1.1 second up to Aero Num. Sauer, Garros, and Roman doing a good job of getting their footwork worked out as they start to march their way forward.
Sauer really pushing his car around these turns, getting a little squirrely a couple times. It's so easy to get around in these cars. You figured that there's not a lot of power to do that, but you hit a wrong curb or something, you're around.
All right, we're going to go back now and look at the replay that happened to our pole sitter early on about lap 1, I'm not sure, as he lost it. This is just driver error. And maybe I'm going to credit a little bit, I talked about it, maybe a little bit of cold tires here. Now, Janssen was in the lead. Hofledesen was right behind him, and I'll have to admit that my first instinct was to check to make sure that Hofledesen didn't give him a little help. He did not. Never assume. There's Janssen and Hofledesen. Yeah, the car was coming around on the way in, wasn't it, Rocco?
Yeah, I don't think he had much. I don't think he had help there. I think that was, as you said, just driver error, maybe pushing the car a little too hard, running out in front of this race. You know, it makes somebody make a mistake.
I did a little bit of practice in the Skippy here, just not much, but Of course, what I learned doesn't really transfer over to reality, but I had trouble with the curves. I wanted to stay off of them here. I found them trouble. Let's look at third position. This is Garros getting around Sauer.
Yeah, he was setting that up for about a half a lap, and same spot that we saw Hafthison go around Nam, just on the straightaway, around start-finish line, just went on the inside.
The bad news is, last time I mentioned that gap, it was 1.1, is now 1.6, so they have lost a half a second. Those guys in third position will have to work a little harder. Let's drop back, Director. How about 8th position? This is Matt Tempest in a little bit of a battle with Santuista behind him. Nick Cardy. There's 2 other drivers coming in there. That's Lujan and the Strudelmeister, Thomas Kick. He just lost a position to Josh Insane in the Membrane back there in 12th. Nice fighting going on. Getting given plenty of space was Santuista there, as he's going to lose not 1 but 2 positions as Lujan gets underneath him into top 10.
Yeah, I'd say they're racing about lap 4. I don't know if they'd be this courteous on lap 12, but seems to be a lot of give and take going on, at least right now, in the upper half of the top 10.
Yeah, that is a nice, about an 8-car train there that's led by Edgar Sancinelli, sitting now in 7th position. That's 2 spots out of his goal for a top 5.
Now, I know you said you didn't practice a lot. This is a tough complex right here. These turns, this left-hander, because there's 2 of them. And you got to hit it just right coming off that long stretch. I probably spun the car more than I went around and did it right. So.
But what does make it easier for me as they work their way through 13 Eurocar is the chicane is out of there. They come around, you go into New Holland, and it's all pretty much flat out in these skippies. For the talent challengers like myself, it levels the playing field. It's not the best scenario for drivers like Aaron Num, who really needed to be as technical as possible for him to really play out his advantage. By the way, Num's gap, now you can see on the tower, is up to 2.2 seconds from 2nd to 3rd.
I'm just looking up front. Nam is, I'd say, staying with him. I don't know if he's just kind of letting him know he's there. You know, he's saying, hey, Michael, don't forget about me. I'm still here. I don't know how you'd forget about Nam, but, you know, I guess he's just reinforcing the idea that he's there. A little wobbly from Michael there.
And to be honest, if you have a choice, you'd rather have Hofstadesen in your windscreen than in your rearview mirror. Num can manage the gap a little bit.
Well, I'm sure that he's got that in the back of his mind as well. If there is, in fact, a history following our lead driver, it might be a guy you might want to give a little bit of room to. But third-hand party information, so.
I'm going to jump you back to 10th position, car number 23. This is our hard charger, Louis Lujan. He's in a battle right now, looking to get around Nick Cardy. Cardy is working on 10th. This is a pretty good battle going on for what would be 8th position. These 3 guys have lost touch with Edgar Sancinelli in 7th as he drives away. Nice battle here. Now here comes the driver in the 2nd in line there, Nick Cardy, making a move. Look at the big hole that 2 cars punch.
Ooh, that's a tough move to make on the outside. Ooh. Lost a lot of positions there.
They're coming up to 12. Blanc de Sabadell. This corner reminds me a lot of Parabolica again at Monza. It's a big sweeping right-hander. Now through 13. You can see the chicane that they don't go through there. The corner, the tracks that they don't go through, blocked off by the cones. Through New Holland and now onto the main straight. Here comes the passing zone. Let's see if Lujan wants to make a move. I don't think so. Looks like he's comfortable a couple car lengths back. Just to be careful, Tempest moves over into the middle, does a little bit of defensive driving. Leaves the inside open. Here he comes. But of course, this is chicane. It's a right-left combo. They get it sorted out. Nope, a little hokey-doke, a little up and under. Not going to work.
Oh, Nick Cardy trying to take the opportunity there, sneak around him.
And all that horseplay has brought the Strudelmeister back in, car number 44. He is the car back in there behind the 2 guys that are side by side, Tempest and Cardy. Great racing going on.
got to give a little bit of credit to Matt Tempest. He seems to keep getting caught out wide, and he's being patient. He's had a couple opportunities where he could have jumped in there and maybe took some air off someone's nose, but he knows his position and he's handling it well. Tough break for him.
Right now, Tempest racing inside the top 10. He's got Cardi in front of him and Thomas Kick behind. Not missing anything up front. It is still Hofladazen. Well, let me correct myself. Looks like Arrow Numb decided to go up in front right now. I don't mean to be nonchalant about a pass for the lead, but basically in these cars, it's going to happen a lot. It's much choreography as it is competition.
Do you think there's any give and take as far as you lead this lap, I lead this lap? Do you think these guys are even on that same level?
Well, the difference is, and I've done a lot of these races, it's not to your advantage to be out in front because, honestly, you're burning more fuel. And the way that these cars, the fuel does not go in that fast. So if you can save a little bit, again, I love this camera shot. It really gives you an idea of what's going on overall, as if you were a fan sitting down in the corner, in the stands there, corner number 1. You see the pass being made for 3rd position. Yeah, there is an advantage to be in 2nd. Save a little fuel, get a faster pit stop. Nobody is better at fuel management than the Roland Estonian Arrow Numb. Nico Roman was the driver who made that pass. Sancinelli now in a battle. They have caught him. We talked about Lujan, our hard charger, up from 19th now, currently in 7th position. Sancinelli not surrendering Casper as he races side by side. Cialis Bathtubs as they head down into corner number 4. Sancinelli on the outside will have a little bit of the momentum. In the popcorn position, that's Nick Carty. This is some good racing going on back here as they go side by side again. Sancinelli now on the inside will have the advantage. Careful, boys.
Turning the wick up a little bit, for sure. Lujan looking up. He sneaks into 7th. Oh, there he is. They hit it. Oh.
And they are both out of the race, and the hopes and dreams of the top 5 for Hector Sancinelli will have to wait one more race.
Commentator's curse. Soup.
Well, I'm not taking credit for that one. That was those guys were racing like it's the final lap.
Still 26 minutes to go in this race.
Get on the replay there. Lujan was in the white car, Sancinelli in the multicolored car on the outside. They got together. That's hard racing.
And that's why I was giving Matt Tempest credit before, just when we were following him, because he was losing positions just like that, and he knew where he was bested, and he kind of just fell back in line, and now he's still cruising.
Tempest managing to stay out of the teapot. That was Sancinelli and Lujan. So that moves Nick Carty up into 7th. Thomas Kick into 8th. 9th and 10th now, a little bit of battle. Can we go there, Director? Let's look at Josh Brain fighting with Matt Tempest. 25 minutes into this 40-minute event, we are within the pit window now.
Strategy is going to come into play soon. See who comes in early. I noticed last time out they seemed to pit relatively around the same as everybody else. I don't see anything, unless you know of something, Soup, that I don't, that would expect one to feel differently about this next round of stops.
Well, Arrow Numb, what he likes to do, because he is always fastest on the track by himself, he would like to come in by himself if possible. And run a few laps on his own. He's notorious for being able to during the pit window, to lose the guys who are following him. A rule of thumb is whatever Arrow does, that's what you do, because you don't want to lose contact with him. Hofladazen, if Numb will come in early, Hofladazen has to cover. We look at those two drivers right now, and you can see Hofladazen sitting back in 2nd, which is really where you want to be. That way, if the Roland Estonian does roll into the pit lane, you can just follow him in.
Well, I would assume at this point, regardless of who's in front of you, you're going to come in with him if you're in 2nd place.
Well, Arrow won't. If Hofladezen comes in, Errol will run until the gas tank is as empty as a syrup bottle on a pancake social. He does not want. He would like to lose Hofladezen if possible. Director, let's go back and look at we see the pass for the lead, and you can see the cars behind them. Those three drivers. A driver we have not talked about is Philip Anderson. He is out there racing, wearing the face that he keeps in the jar by the door. He is a lonely person. And sixth, all by himself. 3 seconds behind Garros, 7 seconds up on Cardi. Stop time.
There we go.
Start to roll in. Leaders stay out.
Looks like Jonsen and Brain. Pulse coming in.
And Jonsen will be interesting because he was our pole sitter that got into that early problem. I imagine he's going to need another stop. Josh Brain may be the leader, the legitimate leader of all the cars who have pitted. You know what? Our director brought to my point of, that Jonsen did not actually make a pit stop. He was not damaged. He just spun the car, so he's legitimate in the hunt. In fact, I missed the opportunity of watching Jonsen work his way through the field. That's something we'll keep an eye on here, see what he can salvage as he works his way through. I'd like to go ahead and put the car on number 26, currently in 11th position. There's nobody around him, but he's our hard charger. Now, it's against my religion to call him a hard charger, as he did not put in a qualifying time, but I'm talking about Lyndall McMurphy. McMurphy laying down the law right now in 11th spot. Has nobody around him.
I like that paint scheme. That's my expert contribution to that.
Okay. It is a nice paint scheme. I'm going to take a stab at colors, see how my rods and cones are. That looks like different shades of blue. That is a sharp-looking paint scheme. The geometric squares make it look not so aerodynamic. All right, there are our two leaders I believe we're looking at. The dark car is Mikael Hofladezen.
Yeah, these two guys look very content to just kind of let each other have what they're doing. I'm interested to see how that pitch strategy plays out from what you were telling me. If I knew that, I would probably want to be in the second spot right now because, I want to pit with Nam. That's my strategy.
It was 2.6 seconds, the gap. I continue to look at this gap for whatever reason. It's now down to 1.3. Let's go ahead and credit Ludwig Sauer for being the reason for that. Sauer running these guys down.
And he's got friends.
Boy, Rocco, talk about running drivers down. You had the preliminaries looking at race number 2, where we saw Errol Num, who ran down the 3 leaders in front. He stole a victory from 4th place on the final quarter. If you haven't had a chance to watch that race, round 2 of this season, of this series this season, boy, it is exciting.
It was. I found myself yelling at my screen. Everybody heard me yelling. I was excited. I couldn't have asked for a better race to see these guys for the first time.
Another thing that Sauer might think about doing is come in behind Num when Num makes his pit stop. And no matter what happens, when Num pulls out, you'll pull out. See if you can get in the tow and see if you can save enough fuel. Even though you're going to take a shorter stop, your stop's going to be about a second shorter. See if you can get on the coattails and follow him around. Here comes a pass for the lead. Hofladezen making the move. As the clouds start to roll in here in Spain. A little bit of overcast, cooling off the track some. There will be no rain in Spain. Thank you, Director.
So it looked like Nam was content to just let him go, and now he's... I don't know what these two are doing. I'm trying to figure it out. I've been following them the last couple laps, and they're going back and forth. I think they're both letting each other know, hey, I can run with you. So I'm thinking this is going to end up unfolding to be something very fun to watch in the next 18 minutes.
But pulling away from this one, go to 11th position, car number 26. We talked about him before. This is McMurphy. Didn't put in a qualifying time, having a great run. And now he's found some drivers to race with here. Up in front of him, that is Santuista and Matt Tempest. Again, without a qualifying time and unfamiliar with McMurphy, I'm not sure what his talent level is, but right now he's having a good run. I guess I could take a look at his iRating. 27.23 for an iRating. Respectable. All right, here comes the move from Tempest as he's hoping to move up into ninth, working on the inside of Santuista.
Whoa, that was a run.
Woohoo!
McMurphy came right up on him. Made my heart skip a beat. Wow.
Dived it in deeper than Buddha's belly button there as he got right in behind Tempest, but you've got to load up. A nice three-car battle as we work lap number 11. Alex Janssen, the leader of all the cars who have pitted, just ahead of Josh Brain. Janssen in what would be... Where are you, Alex? I was talking about you. 15th spot for Alex.
I'm just keeping an eye on pits. Looks like Tempest is actually, as I'm saying that, coming in for his service. So Matt Tempest into pit lane.
Yeah, I think maybe he wanted to get out of the turmoil that was going on with McMurphy and Santuista. I think he could read the writing on the wall. He comes in, will make his stop. Be interesting to see as he comes in if we can pick up Saunders. Saunders is coming across the start-finish line right now. I believe... I'm sorry. I didn't mean Saunders. I want to talk about Janssen. Janssen coming across the start-finish line now. Let's see if he gets out in front of Tempest. Tempest still sitting in there. Sure enough, Janssen continues to be the leader of all the cars who have pitted.
I'll let you watch that as I let you know that Crook is in the pits and Banks is in the pits. We had Matt Tempest, who is now leaving the pits, 38 seconds on pit lane. Looks like we got a couple takers starting to come around now. Seems like they'll start to cycle through. See how long Nam and company stay out there.
Janssen up into 12th spot. Again, our leaders stay out. And right now, Arrow is in front. The gap between second and third, 1.5 seconds. And right now, who's got in third position? Well, they've decided that it's Ludwig Sauer's turn. So Ludwig in there right now. My goodness.
I was going to say, I don't know how decided it is for Gyros in fourth.
Gyros was on him tighter than a scuba suit on a fat man, right behind Sauer. Popcorn position. Nico went in Roman looking at the whole thing going on in front of him. Let's see if they're going to pit this time. They come around. They're coming up here to, yep, 1, 2, 3. They're all in.
Let's just hope they keep their cool and enter in the pits here. Very racy to come in and all of a sudden stop.
While that's going on, I should report that the leaders have also come in. Nam ahead of Hofladezen. Here's the deal, Mikkel. When Arrow goes, you go. Don't pay attention to how much fuel you put in. You just watch the rear wing of the Rolling Estonian. You do not want to be left behind.
Everybody just so careful just to hit their marks. Nobody wants to overshoot right now.
I would give the same advice to Sawyer. Sawyer does go. He's going to be close enough, I think, to be on the back of Hofladezen. Meanwhile, though, Arrow Num out in front by about 8 or 9 car lengths. I don't know if Hofladezen is going to be able to stay on the back of him, and this where Errol Num will pick up his name as he will start to roll. I think he's broken the draft to Hofladezen. Hofladezen is going to have to do everything he can, pull out every trick that he knows to get to the back of Errol Num. That gap, 1.7 seconds.
Yeah, and it's a well-practiced exhibition here as Nam, I think, had everything go his way. Quickly out to this quick lead after the pits, and I mean, it's his race to lose at this point.
There you can look at the time in the pits. Hofladezen about 0.3 of a second slower than Errol Num. Boy, and when it comes to coattails, 0.3 of a second, unless Errol is wearing a tuxedo or maybe even a wedding gown. His coattails aren't going to be long enough.
See, the problem is second and third got out. They're close enough, but then there's a sizable gap between third and fourth, and that's not going to do anybody any favors in cutting through some of this air and trying to shave some tenths off this leader.
Here's the good news. Hofladaisen and Sauer, veterans of the series, they know each other. They know how to work together. They could slingshot their way, leapfrog their way back up to Aero Num. The gap, 2 seconds. We'll keep minding that as the pit stops are done.
I just letting you know, Soup, you only get paid to say it once, so.
I'm working on a sponsorship for that. We're going to look at 8th position. This is Josh Brain, another veteran.
Wait, am I seeing this right? Is Aero Num coming into pits again? Why is he doing this?
Making a second stop, maybe a speeding penalty, perhaps?
You know, I did see his exit, and it looked like he shunted out when he was leaving pit. I wonder if he got black flagged.
One of the interesting aspects, and we probably should have talked about it in the lap description, is how long. Let's stay on Aero here, and I'll show you. Look how long this white line is extended out of pit lane. Watch as Aero comes out. This thing goes for eternity. It stretches basically to Portugal. You still have to stay under that line, and I wonder if this came across too early.
You know, I think, and now it all makes sense. I don't know if we want to pull it up, but I guarantee on his first exit from pit lane, he jolted the wheel. I think he caught it, but not in time. Oh, that's unfortunate, and there's a very happy Ludwig Sauer running around in first place right now. Congrats to him, leading at Catalunya.
Christmas comes in February to Ludwig Sauer, as he is now our leader with Michael Hofladaisen behind him. Qualifying times relatively the same. Sauer was a 2 flat, Hofladaisen a 1.8. Put 2 minutes in front of that to be more specific. Their gap is 6.5 seconds back to Garros and Nico Roman, who are now in 4th position. And if you're Edgar Sancinelli, you got to be thinking, my gosh, the 2 drivers in front of me, Aero Num and Janssen, are out of the race. I could have got a top 5. We're going to look at the replay. Now, let's see. Watch the left side tires. Did they cross? Do we know what we're talking about? Or was it a basic speeding penalty? He's there, and oh! Rocky, you nailed it, man.
I saw that. I didn't want to make a big deal out of it because, you know, it's a pit exit. But, wow, that just really changed the face of this race.
So, let's give you a quick run through the field. And we're going to move pretty fast on this one because we only have 10 minutes of race to go. Up front, the 2 drivers, Ludwig Sauer and Michael Hofladaisen. They're going to swap positions for a while. And let's stay on this director for a minute as they go into Elf. Let's see if Hofladaisen stays behind him. And I think he's safe. He's going to wait back there. So we go another 6 seconds back to look at the drivers in 3rd. This is Christopher Garros and Nico Roman. Good runs from both of them. Up a couple spots from where they qualified. It's about another 5 seconds back to Remember Me. I am Alex Janssen. I am now in 5th position ahead of Philip Anderson. He's got about 4.2 seconds to give to Nico Roman. 10 minutes to go. Is there any way he can close an 11-second gap? I don't know. Those 2 guys battle for 6th position. Drop back to 7th, even with a second pit stop. Aero Num still inside the top 10. Nick Cardy, we've followed his progress through this race. He's back in 8th. Josh Brain behind him. And rounding out your top 10, it's the Strudelmeister, Thomas Kick. I'm going to go one more, Director. Sorry to give you a hard time. Let's go to our hard charger, Lyndale McMurphy. 23rd position because he didn't qualify in 11th, again, all by himself.
Just taking a quick look up front. About a half-second gap. Nothing really to report. Looks like Hafladaisen, I'm sorry, that's going to bother me all day. Hafladaisen, thank you, invisible voice in my head. Looks like he's content right now. But again, 9 minutes to go. This is gonna shape up to be something great. We got the favorite out. I love him and I love how he drives. I don't think he's going to be able to overcome that gap, though. I think that mistake on pit road did him in.
Well, that's not the guy I've got my eye on. Alex Janssen now has, in 5th position, has shed Philip Anderson. just cannot see this drive happening. Although with the draft, it is, I guess, possible that Roman can get there. He's got 4 seconds to get up to Nico Roman, and then that gap has another 6 seconds before they get to the leaders.
Yeah, that's a lot of time to make up.
I just cannot get enough of that camera shot. I feel like I'm sitting right there in the bleachers in corner number 1. You can see him work through Elf and then Renault. The little right-left chicane. Almost S's. It's not so much a chicane as it is just a good little right-left rhythm combo. And through the sweeping corner number 4.
This is good work.
Underneath the camera, yeah. Then they come at you. Let's go ahead and bring up, now this is Nico Roman in 4th and Alex Janssen, who is trying to run him down in 5th. Now you can see the pit stops kind of break up the momentum there, the imaging, but you can see that he's coming. Right now, Ludwig Sauer in the lead saying, I was in the same grid with Errol Num and Alex Janssen, and I have a chance to win.
Well, he's been putting his wheels exactly where they need to be. He's keeping about a half-second lead. I've seen it go down to 0.3, but again, he's doing what he's got to do. He can only go as fast as the air will let him, and I think right now he's pushing that limit.
Ludwig Sauer was in his box full 1 second less. 1 second less than Mikel Hofladezen. So I don't want to do a little bit of Chicken Little, the sky is falling, but if there was a concern about fuel, Hofladezen with a whole extra second in the box should have not be as much of a worry as it is for Sauer.
Plus, he's been trailing in 2nd place, so I'm sure he's saving a little bit of gas that way too. So I don't think fuel is going to be on his mind. I think winning this race is.
You saw Nico Roman make the move on Garros. Those guys continue to race for 3rd position. Garros following now as they head down into the sweeping right-hander that is Repsol.
Looks like Anderson's caught up to Janssen a little bit. Had that gap a little larger than it is now, but he's not going away easy. He's got his set on the top 5 as well.
Philip Anderson, relatively new to Formula Neagle. He's been around for a couple seasons, a spotty attendance, but he can race with these guys. He's a good driver. He has the skills to race up front. He's a good qualifier, and he's raced with Janssen a lot. These guys should know each other. And if they can work together, they might be able to give them more of a help to run down the driver in 4th position. The gap now 3 seconds.
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb, and because that's, I don't know everything about this series, but okay. I believe these guys are teammates. I believe Janssen and Anderson are teammates based on the scheme of the car.
You look at it, unless they're paying the same painter, I think you're a pretty safe bet on that. Car number 96 of Alex Janssen.
And I wish I could give them credit for the team. I just don't have that in my notes in front of me. So if these guys are teammates, good running together. Boys, good running.
NHR looks to be the team initials.
Okay.
If you want a little help in determining who they are, Janssen in the blue fire suit and helmet. Anderson in the kind of yellow helmet. Citrus flavored helmet. All this going on behind Sauer and Hofladezen. I know we haven't been paying a lot of attention up there, but they're pretty much minding their own business right now. And again, if fuel is an issue, Sauer doing all the work. You got to figure that Sauer probably feels comfortable with this, with what he's got in his tank, or he would slip back and let Mikel do a little bit more of the work.
Well, both of our podium battles right now look to be the same. Sauer versus the 81, and then Garros and Roman. If you look back at 3rd and 4th, they're fighting for that final step too.
Everybody racing in pairs right now. Sauer and Hofladezen. Roman and Garros, Janssen and Anderson. Then lurking back there in 7th position, I believe he is too far back, is Arrow Numb. Arrow always likes to win, but I guess one of these races a little easier to swallow when you have a 61-point lead in the points.
That I'm sure mathematically finishing in 7th is not even going to be given. I mean, it's not what he expected at the beginning of the day, but you know what? So what? You get a 71-point lead. That's why you get that 71-point lead, right?
Okay, here we go. We have this is a driver who was one of our slowest qualifiers. Reed had an issue.
It looks like he was by himself, just pushing it a little too hard.
Fortunately, nobody involved in that. Has no consequences as far as the positions on the track go.
Yep, got that left rear on the gravel, put you into the inner wall.
I want to quickly go to 9th position, and we're going to make sure that we follow this battle after the leaders come across. This is a battle between Kick and Brain. These guys have been going at it for a while. They are veterans. I believe they are both Tier 2 drivers, and so we'll follow what the Strudelmaker is out in front right now ahead of Josh Brain. But with just over 2 minutes to go, with apologies to the rest of the field, I believe we're going to focus our attention up front right now. Let's go ahead. I'll take a shot at the color. Ludwig Sauer, I'm going to say that's light blue.
Yeah, we'll go with light blue.
Okay, and Mikkel Hoffmann back there in like the gunmetal black car. My gosh, that car's coming at you. There is no reflection off that one. It looks like a stealth fighter.
Hofladeson's definitely pushing now. I saw him put his right side off the track, picked up a little bit of the gravel. He seems to have amped it up a little bit.
And Hofladeson, he loves GSRC. He knows what I'm talking about when I say that he certainly doesn't lack confidence. Let me put it that way when it comes to racing. Doing a good job right now of staying off of Sawyer. Sauer, a veteran as well. They go down into Lakaisa. This is corner number 10. This is a left-hander. Kind of a double apex.
Yeah, I think the time they're giving him space is starting to dwindle. That nose has been a lot closer to that rear wing this last lap and a half.
Boy, you can see them. The new tire model, these guys really get to turn the Skippy sideways a bit. Now they are flat on the throttle. Through 13. Into the final corner. The white flag is out. So, Rocky, if you're Hofladeson, where do you want to make the move? You don't want to make it too early.
Right now. I want to do it now. I want to go. I want to be in front, and I want to lead the last lap. But that's me, and I think Sauer knows that because he's not letting him by. He did not give him that lane.
Sauer puts that car as far right as possible. That's going to mean Hofladeson goes well outside. Now Sauer's going to have the inside position. Hofladeson will have momentum. Sauer's going to take it in really deep. Can he get him load up? He does, but again, through the rhythm section, he has no rhythm through Renault, but he's able to hang on to the lead. So the pass into 1 that Rocky wanted did not happen. Now Hofladeson looking for a way. They go down into 4. The sweeping right-hander. Going to the outside is going to be Hofladeson. There'll be momentum. They stay off of each other, Rocky. Now there's a little bit of gap.
Oh, this is great.
Now the preferred position will go to Hofladeson. He'll not only have the momentum off of 4, but he'll have the inside line. This could be bad news for Sauer, and it is. Hofladeson makes the pass. Sauer's got to gather himself and figure out where he can make the pass. The start-finish line is pretty close to the final corner. There's not a lot of time out of that final corner to get this done. Sauer's going to have to be imaginative as he finds his way around. There is a long stretch coming out of here. They go to Captain. This is the right-hander, and a long back stretch down into Lakaisa. Sauer, 3 car lengths back, closing. The lapped car gets out of the way. A good job from Neil Armstrong. He makes a small step to stay out of the way of those guys, and it worked perfectly. Down into Lakaisa. Again, Hofladeson now with a 3 car length lead. Sauer seems to be able to do nothing. They have 6 seconds on Nico Roma. The battle for third is not going to play a factor. Into this long sweeping right-hander like Parabolica. Now it's down, it's foot to the floor now. It is flat out. 2 more right-handers to go. If there's a draft to happen, Sauer needs to make it now, but I don't think it's going to happen. Hofladezen not only is holding the gap, he's opening it up. Round number 4, season 19, from Barcelona, goes to Mikel Hofladezen. Sauer for second. Let's go to Nico Roman. We'll watch there. It's close. Who's going to get this one side by side? Close. It goes to Roman. Let's go to Garros. Garros is not going to be able to get it as Anderson is able to get in front of him. Janssen will have to settle for 4th. Let's go back to Kick. We wanted to watch them. It looks like that battle has broken up as Josh Brain pulls away. There goes your top 10. Are there any more battles out there? We're going to go way down. Let's go to Kevin Walsh, director. This one is close. This is Walsh. We haven't had the camera on these guys. This is Walsh and Banks. They're going to battle for what would be 15th position, I believe. Kevin Walsh qualified in 16th, up 1 spot. Josh Banks qualified in 15th, down 1 spot. These guys have been together the whole race, and they're going to finish nose to tail. Kevin Walsh gets the 15th spot, and Troy Banks will have to settle for 16th. The last car out there, Andrew Saunders, about a minute behind. He'll be coming across sometime before we close the show. The racing is over here in Barcelona, but our broadcast is far from done. We're going to take a short break. We'll come back to run down the entire order, talk to some of the drivers before we put a lock on the gate. Back with you. Welcome back. Sanctioned by the Absolute Beginner League from Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya. It's the Global SimRacing's 4th round coverage of the Season 19 Formula Neagle Championship. And boy, it was an exciting one. Let's give you that final standings right now. He qualified in 3rd position. He watched the 2 drivers in front of him have trouble, and it was Mikel Hofladezen able to outdo Ludwig Sauer for the win. Hofladezen in 1st, Sauer in 2nd. Nico Roman comes in 3rd. He got together with Christoph Garros in the final lap. Garros got punted off. That allowed Alex Janssen to move up into 4th with Philip Anderson behind him. Garros was able to salvage a 6th place finish. There you have Errol Num. He was leading for a while, made a pit stop exit mistake, crossed that line too early, had to make a 2nd stop, and that cost him the win. Fortunately, he has an incredibly large cushion in the points. The championship is still his to lose. The final 3 drivers in the top 10, Nick Carty, Josh Insane of the Membrane in 9th position there, and the Strudelmeister, Thomas Kick in 10th. Rocky?
So, thank you, and we'll give your pipes a little bit of a rest. 11th place, we had your hard charger, Mr. Lyndall McMurphy, coming in 11th spot. Matt Tempest, who was amongst traffic for most of the race, along with Luis Rodriguez-Lujan, Christopher Crook, 12th, 13th, 14th, respectively. Kevin Walsh, who we saw at the end, coming in 15th. We had Troy Banks 16th, and finishing out our finishers on the lead lap was Andrew Sanders in 17th, Neil Armstrong Edgar Sentinelli still looking for that top 5. Peter Reed to round out your top 20, 1 lap behind.
Hidden Blackjack, Pablo Lozano Santuista. The double duck spot goes to Brady Holz. Luis Morga did not. Well, did he start? I guess he did. We have those 3 drivers down there: Luke Downs and Martin Capel on the very bottom. All right, 17 drivers on the lead lap. A very relatively clean race. These guys did a good job. We really didn't have to jump around, give a lot of replays. I think we are fortunate enough to have our race winner. It is Mikael Hofladeson. Mikael, congratulations, baby.
Thank you. It's the first one, finally.
Is this actually the first win for you? We've covered so much. Hey!
Yes.
Well, I'm glad
I've been runner-up so many times.
I'm glad I came back for this one. And this one you really earned. When did you realize that maybe Errol Num, do you know what happened, that he made a mistake coming out of pit lane?
I saw Aero crossing the white line. I didn't think more of it. I was almost about to follow him, but I thought to be on the safer side. So I think maybe he got a stop and go.
Yes, he did. And that's what that was costing me. He went across that line. And that you behaved, though. Let's talk about your race. It all started with Alex Johnson spinning in front of you there. Luckily, you were able to avoid that.
Yeah, had a pretty clean start. The car was actually okay on the first lap, not too slippery, which Alex seemed to be having that problem. And I knew actually pretty early on, even if Aero was still going to be in the race, he was not going to pull away from me anything. I actually felt good in the car for once.
Right. We talked about it during the race. I tell you, I think one of your strengths is how aggressive you are early on. You are on the first lap. There is nobody who feels more confident on those tires. Now, are cold tires an issue on the Skippy?
Yes, they are. But I mean, since I race in real life, I have to know cold tires in real life also. So I'm kind of used to it. And I think I can learn from that and kind of assemble it in the Skippy as well.
All right, let's take you down to the final lap. Now, Sawyer went about as far right as he could down the main straightaway to prevent you from going on the inside into 1 and 2. So you had to make the pass a little somewhere else.
Yeah, I knew I had the pace on him. I'd been behind him fuel saving because I was very worried I had too little fuel. And I knew he was going to defend as much as he could because obviously anybody would want to win. But I knew if I pushed hard enough, I could get him around the outside. In the corner, I actually made the move. So I'm just very lucky it went as planned, basically.
You made the move, and then, surprising to me, you were able to drive away. It really wasn't a contest at the finish line.
No, after the move, I don't know if he made a mistake or something, but I opened a gap of 4 or 5 tenths, and then I knew he couldn't come back at me.
I'm going to get you out of here on this one. You know, we've broadcast so many of your races. I think I should probably figure out the official way you like your first name pronounced. You like Miguel, or is it Michael? What do you like?
Well, it's Mikael, but in English, everybody says Michael. So you can say Michael.
No, I'm going to go with Mikael on that one. Congratulations. So many times we've watched your race. You pick up your first victory. I'm glad I was here to see it. You're a favorite of GSRC and of the fans. Well done, Mikael.
Thank you very much.
There you have it. Always nice to see somebody pick up that first win, and glad that I was able to here to see it because I've watched them race a lot. Rocky, who you got?
I'm sitting with Ludwig Sauer, second place. Excellent run. I know it's always a little rough to not win, but second place, very proud. I'd be. Wanted to ask you, Ludwig, your thoughts when you see yourself go from second to first. Our buddy Nam got his black flag. It was a stop and go penalty. Did you know what was going on? Did you know right away?
Yes, well, first of all, great to be on the podium. This is my first time ever on the podium, and even being so far up, leading a lap.
Well, congratulations, man.
Well, we had Aero in our Discord channel, and he also already noticed something that he was going to have to do another stop or had a penalty or something. So at that time, I was within a second of Michael, so I knew it would be between us to the end.
Well, congratulations. I was not aware it was your first. Got a lot of firsts going on today, so I'm glad you could be on that list today. So the final lap, you came into the final lap in first. Was it Was it nerves? Was it a little bit of a bobble? We were talking to Michael, and he said he took advantage of a mistake from his end. Could you take it from your cockpit? Let us know what happened there.
No, it was not a real mistake. Going onto the straight T1 was his real opportunity, so I put it right to the far end of the track, so he couldn't get the inside. Then it was holding on right in through the long right-hander. I kept it right there as well. Had to lose a little bit of pace, and then took what they call the Nico Rosberg line right into the corner. But he got the outside and got the drive from the outside, and well, then the next corner goes to the left, and you're on the wrong side. So he got it fair and square. He was quicker all those laps. He basically let me sit there doing the laps. I wasn't even looking at Michael. I was looking at the times of Nico and Christopher, I think. But they kept steady at like 6 seconds. So I'm really happy with second. And after the pass, I think mentally I was already happy with second. So.
Well, very happy for you. I'm extremely happy again that you got your feet on the podium for the first time. Second place, something to be proud of. So I definitely want to leave it on a positive note. Before I let you go and enjoy the rest of your evening, anybody you'd like to acknowledge? Anything you'd like to thank for making today possible?
Well, of course, I would like to thank GSRC, our broadcaster, for being with us so many seasons. And I would like to thank my girlfriend, who I know is watching the broadcast right now, because she takes care of everything that happens on in the evening in the house, so I can race. So
yeah, I think we have a lot of better halves helping us make sure this happens. So Ludwig, it's been a pleasure watching your race today. Congratulations on the second place. Enjoy it, and take care. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Before we talk to Alex Janssen, I want to give you a little stats on what happened there. Mikael Hofledesen, 55 attempts here in Formula Neagle before he picks up his first win, so congratulations for that. And as far as Ludwig Sauer goes, how about 44 tries to get his first podium? So it is indeed a day of first times. Let's go ahead and talk to Alex Janssen. Alex, you have a copy?
I do have a copy.
Alex, it's Soup here. I broadcast the season where you ran away from it and you got your championship, and it really wasn't much of a battle. And, of course, Errol Num, who has so many championships previously, wasn't there. I, as a fan, was so excited to see you two guys in the same race. Who's going to be the best here, Janssen or Num? And it ends up that both of you make mistakes and you really didn't get to race much.
Yeah, it looks like we both are amateurs. Yeah.
Exactly. What happened on lap one? Cold tires? I don't know. What that was unlike to see you make a mistake like that.
Yeah, it was basically only cold tires. I rarely race this car, so I pushed way too hard into the corner and the back stepped out. And from then I went, I think, P22 or something. But yeah, it was a fun race from that on.
we watched you drive all the way back. I made a mistake. I forgot that I thought you had a car damage. I just wrote you off. I scratched off my clipboard here. And then the director said, no, he just spun it. He's working his way through. You managed to get up. You know, you needed another 15 laps. You might have got to the front.
Possibly. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'm happy with P4. I would have liked P3, but P4 is okay as well. It wasn't my first P4, but
if memory serves, you left the series. Now I could be wrong because I do so many of these to build a wheel. Am I correct? Do I remember that right? Is that why you were gone?
Almost correct. I built a set of pedals, but that was when we drove F3. When they switched to the Skippy, I honestly didn't have much interest in doing that car. But then I watched the race from, I think it was Watkins Glen a month ago or so.
Right.
And the racing was just too good. So I thought, I need to come back to this. Well, so I did Le Mans, and now I've done this. And I think I'll do the rest of the season as well, just for the fun of it.
Well, here's what I'm going to do personally. I'm going to send out a personal email to Greg Seitz. He was the other dominant champion that happened while you were gone. We'll see if we can get Seitz and Janssen and Errol Num here. The championship is pretty much locked up, so it'll be fun to see you guys battle it out on the track. Great to watch your race. Sorry you had trouble. Look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you, guys. Please don't send an email to Greg. I've raced him a lot in F3, and he is way too quick for me.
All right. I'm glad you know the name. Congratulations. We look forward to seeing you race again.
Thank you for being here, Soup. Nice to see you again.
Thank you. One of my favorite series to broadcast is The Absolute Beginner, and I like it as a broadcaster, and I love it just as a fan. And I hope you guys enjoyed what we brought you here today. They've been around for 19 seasons. They're little short seasons, Rocky, and that's the way you kind of like it. You get lots of champions. We don't have to go through the dullness of waiting for the thing to play out. You start the season, you got the middle, and it's over, and we start again.
I'm enjoying it. I've been here this is my second race, and Soup, let's do it again.
Let's thank the people that make this possible. How about the Absolute Beginner League for organizing Formula Neagle and contracting with GSRC to broadcast it? How about the company's equipment and software that you see on the screen right now that we use on our broadcast? The original music that gives every GSRC production that unique flavor and feel. Well, that's thanks to June Lalonde. See the screen for contact information there. I don't have this updated. Formula Neagle returns for the season finale. That's in 2 weeks, March 8th. From where are we going to come from, Director? We're going to Zandvoort. That'll be fun. GSRC will be there. We hope that you join us. On screen now are just some of the upcoming broadcasts, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Hey, if you'd like more information about GSRC, including a complete list of future broadcasts, here's what you do. Global SimRacingChannel.com. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global SimRacing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Gram. And while you're here, if you haven't done so yet, become a GSRC YouTube subscriber by hitting that big red button so you don't miss a thing on GSRC. Finally, on behalf of the entire crew, that would be Rocky, Adrian, Paulie, Joe, and Dougie. I'd like to thank all of you for watching. As we saw, for the first time, it took him 55 races to do it. Miguel Hafladays picks up his first career win here in Barcelona. With that said, we're off to have fun storming the castle. So until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.